Thank you. At this time, if there are anyone that would like to go to the microphone and give their name and address for public comments, you can speak on every agenda item as well, but if you would like to go to the microphone and give any comments, you're welcome to do so at this time. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, we have the consent agenda, which are the minutes of the December 5th work session, regular meeting, and closed session, as well as statements and checks, and the November 17th treasurer's report.
So moved. Support.
Motion Doe, support Eldridge to approve the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Attorney's report, is there any general legal update, Mr. Winters?
Madam Chair, we have successfully, I think, signed all the documents in regards to the SBA cell tower negotiated deal. They have been returned via FedEx even today, and so we should have those funds one day next week. And I think Larry has already, and Javon has notified the bondholders of our intent to redeem the bonds for Sierra Farm, and that redemption date is, I believe, February the 7th.
Correct.
And so it's been a very, very successful conclusion to a very, very successful year. And then on that note, I think I just want to take a moment, because Denny's here tonight too, and just express to the board, our appreciation for the ability to continue to represent Ypsilanti Township as your legal counsel. During the last, it's hard to believe it's been 34 years that we've been the attorneys, but we're very, very honored and very, very thankful for the ability to serve as your legal counsel, and what it means to us both personally and in terms of professionally. It's very difficult to put those into words. It's been a great honor for all of us to work together. We certainly appreciate all the questions we get over the time. Each question you ask also causes us to sometimes rethink previously stated opinions, and also to be challenged with new events along the way. So everybody here brings something to the table in terms of making us better attorneys, as well as the staff, all the people that work at the township. They do a tremendous job to assist our office. Everybody in the audience tonight is part of that the team effort. And as the years go by, you do think of the cycle of life, and how sometimes quickly things do go by. We've lost so many good people this year, some of being township employees, Debbie Igdorny. We've lost former board members with Gene Hall. It's kind of hard still to look down this way and not see some of the faces that we've been used to seeing over those many, many years. And we just past week just lost, I know John Collins, our 14B District Court judge, who was our first judge who served here. And so while we all have those moments where we see how life can be so fleeting, we also celebrate the birth of Jimmy having a new child, Heather having a new baby. Karen's down in Kentucky tonight because I guess she's going to have another grandchild coming into her family. So while you have moments of people that leave us too soon, we also welcome, obviously, the birth of all the new children being born in the township. So, again, on behalf of myself and Denny and Angie, who's not here, we just want to say, thank you to all of you, and for everything that you have done and continue to do to support our staff. And we just feel very, very honored and very, very appreciative to represent you. And you are the best client any municipal attorney could possibly wish to have. So thank you very kindly.
Thank you, Mr. Winter. So the money is coming this year, right, Doug, for the SBA?
It's going to be coming to I was just saying it because somebody's coming to my office. The checks.
I just want to make sure I understand what's going on.
Yeah, the $750,000 is coming to our office, and so when that gets sent, I think Larry's indicating he'll be open one day next week or 2 days next week. So one day, which day is that, the 28th? So I intend to have that money into Larry's hands
And pay off the bond.
pay off the bonds for the Seaver Farm. It's ironically that the amount that we're going to receive is almost dollar for dollar what's going to be required to pay that off. At the time we negotiated that, there was obviously no way of knowing what the money was going to be used for, because it turned out that 740 pretty much covers, maybe not quite, but it's awful close to paying the full amount off. So there won't be any needs for any transfers from the general fund that your budget originally that was approved that showed a $537,000 transfer that would have gone into paying off those bond payments this year. That will not be happening. So again, everything's signed, sealed, delivered, just waiting for the check to come. And once I do, Treasurer Doe knows what to do with it.
Well, that's excellent. And to pay down our debt is even better. Yeah, and it will, that money is budgeted in the 2018, so we can look at capital projects that's on our list to do in the parks that we talked about, replacing equipment. So it's really a good blessing, and thanks for the negotiations on that. I don't think it would have happened without you, really pursuing that, Doug. Under old business, we have the request of Wayne Dudley, Public Service Superintendent, for approval of membership with the National Joint Powers Alliance. We need to remove this from table.
So moved. Support.
Motion Wilson, support Eldridge to remove from table. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
It's properly before the board. Motion would be in order.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion Wilson, supported by Gerald Rowe, to approve the Joint Powers Alliance membership as requested by Wayne Dudley. That's a little sound effects on this one. Any questions or comments on that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Under new business, we have budget amendment number 18. Deputy Clerk Lisa, would you please?
Yeah, we have a motion to amend the 2017 budget, move to increase the general fund by $20,000 to $11,194,306, and approve the department line item changes as outlined, and move to increase the fire fund by $21,660 to $5,119,679, and approve the department line item changes as outlined.
A motion is in order.
Move to approve.
Motion Doe, support Gerald Rowe to approve the last budget amendment. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. The next item is request for approval of the Metro Act, application of KEPS Technologies, doing business at acd.net and ACD Telecom per Public Act 48 of 2002. A motion would,
Motion to support?
motion to approve, or
Support.
support by Eldridge. Mr. McLean, did you want to give?
This was an application that I was asked to review.
Is your, thank you so much.
This was an application I was asked to review. I think there have been meetings with yourself, Madam Chair, and Mr. Winters, my partner, and Mr. Radzik, with the representative of the applicant as to what they're proposing, which is essentially installing their facilities within the public right-of-way. They've received approval from Washtenaw County already. My original understanding was they were only going to be co-locating on existing poles, but now I have since learned that they do intend to erect some poles, and hopefully some poles actually to help the township in its reception of the Verizon signals and what have you. But The Metro Act, which is actually the Metropolitan Extension Telecommunications Right-of-Way Oversight Act of 2002, was adopted by the state of Michigan, and subsequently, the township, by resolution, opted in to that act, and that was Resolution 2002-57 back in 2002, meaning that they would agree to comply. The act provides a standard application form. There's only one application form that can be used, and that has been submitted by the applicant in this case, and it's in proper form. Under the law, the application has to be acted upon, either accepted, either approved or denied, within 45 days of submittal, or the municipality can be subject to a $40,000 a day penalty. Rather significant. I don't know of any instance where that has happened, but it looms large, to say the least. I've looked at the proposed permit, and they are going to comply and provide, the certificate of insurance naming the township as an additional insured. Under the act, you are allowed to establish a bond, require a bond, I should say, for removal cost in the event that it ever becomes necessary. And you will receive annually, I don't know how much it'll be in this case, but you do receive some of the monies collected by the state, goes back to the municipality, and those monies can only be used for improvements in the right-of-way itself. But all in all, essentially, if you deny it, there's appeal routes that can be followed by the applicant. But from what I have seen and from what I have read coming from Director Radzik and those that attended the meeting, I think back in October, that this seems like a very good project to proceed with the approval. And we certainly feel that it's all in order should the board agree to approve.
Well, I know the applicants are also in the audience.
Okay.
Anyone has any questions, and my understanding, I did attend the meeting, and wherever there's drop service currently with Verizon, this will help fill that gap. There's terms that you use that are different than what I'm using, but that's how I understood it. And that they're locating them on current poles that are in the road right-of-way, and that you have a few proposed ones for the future.
Yeah, basically what we're required to do.
Would you give your name and address and everything?
My name is Stephen DeRocha, and I'm with ACD.net. We're located in Lansing, Michigan, so 1800 North Grand River. Basically what we're proposing, aside from the Metro Act, that's just to cover basically our fiber optics we would need to use to connect these boosters, I guess, when these would be used to fill the gaps for the wireless service. I don't know, we also had what we'd be doing with those is co-locating on existing infrastructure, that infrastructure being either DTE or AT&T. Some of those may need to be upgraded a little bit just to give us the proper clearance for power, et cetera, but it really won't change much more than about 5 foot. So, I don't know if anybody had any questions.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I was just curious, and this might be a question for Denny, but it was just about the bond. You said there could be a bond for, in the future, if those ever needed to come down, it would cover the cost of removal. And I didn't see that anywhere within here, but maybe I'm missing that piece.
Denny, she was asking you that question, I think.
It's up to you to decide what bond should be posted. If you want, we can deal with that after, you go through the process. They can submit that to our office and we can review it. And obviously, we're going to need I don't know what the cost is going to be to remove anything.
Does AT&T or DT&E require you to have a bond for removal as well? It's only to remove it if
if we
You go out of
ever,
business?
yeah, if we were to ever go out of business, or probably, which would probably never happen, it would transfer back to Verizon.
For the.
Your name.
My name is Eli Gregg with ACD, 1800 North Grand River, Lansing.
Thank you.
The existing utility companies that we're co-locating on do require a joint use agreement, which includes provisions for removal should the facilities become abandoned or out of use, as well as the general terms of the Metro Act can contain those. The bond would be something that you guys would enact in addition for financial surety in case you're worried that we'll not be able to follow through with the removal of any of that infrastructure.
So maybe, could we get copies of your agreement so then,
I would expect we can produce those. I don't know that there's any reason we can't.
if not, you're going to have to pay a
Non-disclosure on
bond,
that.
so.
Yep, yeah, we can provide those.
And we've also done several bonds in different municipalities and stuff, so it's something we could easily produce.
That'll be fine. If you want to go ahead and approve it, subject to the submittal of a bond that's satisfactory for the removal. If there's already one in existence,
I know, that's right.
it may not be necessary. It's not a mandatory. The act says you can require it. So it may be that if they've already got a satisfactory removal bond for everything they're putting in. It's just if there's going to be putting in other installations that aren't part of their agreement with the county, that could be a,
Well, fiber optic, which is under the ground,
Right.
right? So,
I'm just recalling, I think earlier this year, we removed something from DTE, and I don't remember if it was a transformer or something like that. And we, of course, probably 20 years ago, never imagined we'd have to pay for that, but I plan to be around for a while, and I don't want to pay to take them out. So.
yeah, I know with cellular towers, we've required bonds for them to be removed.
Yeah, so the terms of the Metro Act do require us to remove anything that's no longer in use. The question is the financial surety that would back that would be a bond. So we're already required by law, under the terms of the Metro Act, to remove at our expense, so.
Did we require AT&T? I don't, Denny, when we approved their, because AT&T has a Metro Act, right?
yes.
I don't think we do, or I don't recall.
I honestly would, if there was a requirement, it would have been included in the approval, and I don't have
I don't
that.
recall, yeah.
Yeah. But,
So these are little boosters that go on the poles.
Well, also the
Fiber
Metro
optic.
Act primarily is to cover the fiber optics, the aerial and underground deployment of that infrastructure. The boosters are under the provisions of the existing utilities space. So if it's a DTE pole that we're adding this equipment onto, we're using their space rights for that piece. All the Metro Act specifically is only for the fiber optics to cover that.
So I don't know how you would remove that.
Oh, it's very labor intensive.
Right, I mean, I don't know why you would remove a fiber optic line.
No,
Why would you put a bond up for that?
Generally speaking, people don't remove them, they just upgrade them. You know, it's, I think that the reason the terms of the Metro Act cover the removal of it is in case the technology changes and somebody wants to say that we have to get it all out. I mean, right now, nobody removes it. It's all in use. As much as people can get out into the world gets used, so, for fiber optics.
It's kind of the same thing for like a gas line, they just kind of abandon it.
Right, that's what-
Water line,
right.
it's abandoned, it just stays there.
Yeah,
Yeah, but with the Metro Act, with fiber optics, we're not allowed to abandon it. If it becomes antiquated, we're required to move it. That's the terms of the Metro Act.
so contingent upon the submittal of the bond or information to satisfy the attorney, is that a friendly amendment? Could that be a friendly amendment from the motion?
Yes.
We did also talk to them about possibility of getting fiber optic for our township facilities, and you talked to Travis, was also in the meeting, and he was very excited about the potential of working together with this company.
Yeah, we're happy.
Separately.
We're happy to discuss that more, but do we want to move the Metro Act as a separate item?
No, I know.
Okay.
Oh, I know. I just wanted to mention that we discussed it, and that would be very good if we could get fiber optics throughout the community, and possibility of a pole being on a township property, but that's down the road.
Which would not be part of the Metro Act, that'd be by
Private.
specific easement negotiations, so.
Yeah.
that
Well, I'm
could
just
have
trying,
different terms, different bond characteristics and everything.
yeah. Okay, and there's a map in here and where they're going to start, right? And the locations of, it's in the Galt Village area, it looks like, and up north, it goes up north. So it's just to help with the dropped areas. And this is the first map, or do you keep coming back? Because there's a lot more dropped areas.
There's a formalized process for the Metro Act, it's called a letter of intent, where we submit another set of plans.
Okay.
And say we're going to add this portion of build this year, or normally once a year would be all we'd want to submit new plans. But that way you guys are aware of the work areas and where the infrastructure is.
And you've been through Pittsfield Township already, right?
Correct.
And Ann Arbor, did you go through Ann Arbor as well?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes, we have gone through Ann Arbor.
And basically
And city of
to,
Ypsilanti as well, too, so.
and to answer your question about, this is just north of the lake. We also have 3 more of these proposed for the south of the lake, near actually the township building.
Yeah, the township, you'll get killed because you lose all your, if you had to call, you could not call out in this certain section in the south side. I don't know, going down here in River Drive, and it just drops, and on Textile Road is another one that just completely drops dead.
Those are the first areas, and that, I know that so we're a vendor for this technology, owner-operator, but our customer has got another phase of twice as many, more in this area. I
Right,
was just reviewing it before we came over here, so there will be more to come.
okay. So we have a motion support with the amended motions. Are any more comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 3, we have Resolution 2017-37, which is authorizing the Township Legal Counsel to proceed with appeal of the Township of Ypsilanti versus Judith Pontius and DFCU Financial, a federal credit union, and authorized to seek assistance from outside agencies in support of this lawsuit.
Move to approve. Support.
Motion Wilson, support Doe. Mr. Winters, would you like to, or Mr. McLean, would someone want to give a?
Yes, Madam Chair and members of the board, as we discussed, the Judge Kunke, in her ruling back on September 15, 2017, denied the township's request for an injunction to prohibit the operation of a caregiver operation at 1196 Lester, and granted, or essentially indicated in her opinion that could continue, which of course, as the board is aware, presents a significant issue for the smaller neighborhoods in particular in the township because of the disruption due to odor, traffic, and what have you. And the township's ordinance that was adopted in May of 2010 prohibits that kind of activity, be it a nursery or a dispensary, in a residential neighborhood, but does allow it in the light industrial district. So it's not completely prohibited, but it is allowed in certain areas, and it's our position that the MMMA, Michigan Medical Marijuana Act, is not in conflict with the township's ordinance at all, because that act did not speak to location for grow facilities. And we believe that it is that her ruling is in direct conflict with the Zoning Enabling Act, which allows municipalities, such as the township and cities, to adopt zoning for the public health, safety, and welfare and in the community, and that this decision is contrary to that and significantly affects communities all across the state, not just Ypsilanti Township, but certainly affects this township. So we're asking the Township Board for approval. We filed the claim of appeal to protect the township's right and ordered the transcripts as we're required to do. The transcripts have just come in, and we're ready to proceed if the township agrees. And in the process, we are also seeking to see if other municipal organizations are willing to join the township in what we call amicus briefs in support of the position. You'd think that there would be other communities and organizations that would consider this to be a very significant topic in their own zoning situation. So that's a basic summary of what we're asking.
Okay, questions or comments? No?
Madam Chair.
Yes.
In the memo, it talks about requesting assistance from the Michigan Township Association, which since then, we know that they've declined to.
Well, they've initially declined. I mean, we haven't had a chance to come back to them and discuss the situation, which we certainly intend to do, but they're not the only organization out there that may have an interest in this particular topic as it affects their communities.
So do we think, I mean, do you think that it would be prudent to seek understanding from the MTA before proceeding with the appeal?
Well, I don't know what their position technically is in terms of not wanting to join the township, but just because, again, let's assume for a second that they don't want to go forward with it because they think the possibility of success is less than they want to tackle. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're right. And our position still, I believe, is strong in the sense that if we can get to the right appeals body or even the Supreme Court, because the effect that this has on the overall zoning authority of municipalities is huge. It's just huge. Anybody that lives in any area where you have tightly knit houses, small houses, very close to each other, those are the ones primarily affected, those residents next door and in the vicinity. But it'll affect the other neighborhoods as well eventually. So it's up to you folks to decide if you're willing to authorize us to proceed with this appeal. If we can't get the MTA to climb on board, there's no telling who else we might be able to get to go along with us. It's an onward and upward battle.
Right. Any other comments? All right. Gerald Rowe?
No.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Brenda Stumbo votes yes. Joe?
Yes.
Jimmy Wilson?
Yes.
Motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is request of Michael Radzik, Director, Office of Community Standards, for approval of amendment to the Washtenaw County Police Services contract, amending the term of service through 2018 and amending the price to $160,650 per police service unit, which is budgeted in line item 26630100831-100.
Move to approve.
Support.
Motion Doe, support Gerald Rowe. Mr. Radzik.
Good evening.
Good evening.
What's before you this evening is a request to amend our existing contract just for calendar year 2018. And the proposed amendment does two things. It amends Article 1 of the existing contract, which is compensation, and it adds the 2018 price for a police service unit to $160,650, which is the figure we used during our budget preparations, which we discussed in greater detail during the budget presentation. It also amends Article 5, which is the term of the contract, to include all of calendar year 2018, and that would be the only amendments. By way of background, just so that there's a clear understanding, during our budget discussions, there was clear direction from the board to seek to increase our staffing levels beginning next year by 2 police service units. And at the board's direction, I did convey that ask to the Sheriff's Department. And they informed us that the county budget process is such that the County Board of Commissioners must act first to approve adding or creating 2 new position control numbers for those 2 new county employees before they would send a contract amendment to add staffing back to the Township Board of Trustees for consideration. They explained that the earliest that they thought that that could happen by the Board of Commissioners would be in the month of February. However, in the meantime, the Sheriff's Department told us that they would do everything in their power to start hiring and begin the training process for those new 2 employees based on our request to add staffing and the assumption that the County Board of Commissioners would move forward to approve that and then send it back over to us for final approval. So this 1-year amendment is at the current staffing levels of 35 PSUs, and the increase would come back to the board at a later date, hopefully early in the first quarter of 2018.
Questions, comments?
Madam Chair, just one.
Yes.
And I may be reading this wrong, but was this already, it looks as if reading the information that increase, that 1.5 schedule increases each year, was this already included or is this additional on top of that?
The 1.5% is just for this year.
Just for 2018.
Just
So-
for 2018, okay, I just want to make sure I was reading it correctly.
Yes, so
Okay.
the documents I included in my memorandum request so that you would have a clear understanding was the County Board of Commissioners Resolution 17-163, which the County Board adopted in October of this year, which did 3 things in that resolution. They adopted the cost and price metrics for police service units for all of the contracting jurisdictions in the county for 2018 through 2021. And those numbers are listed there, and those represent 1.5% increases each of those years.
Okay.
It secondly authorized only the PSU contract price for 2018. So even though they adopted and approved those pricings for those contiguous years, they only approved offering a 1-year contract extension to all of the communities that contract for 2018. And the caveat in the resolution was years 2019 and beyond were conditioned upon voter approval of the Community Mental Health Public Safety Preservation millage. So this was adopted by them prior to the election date. And as we all know, that the voters of the county did, in fact, approve that. And Supervisor Stumbo, Clerk Rowe, and myself had attended a Police Services Steering Committee meeting, I think a week or 2 ago, where the pricing for 2019 and beyond was discussed, and it appears as though at some level, there's some negotiation to perhaps adjust it downwards. So we're waiting anxiously to see where that may land with the Board of Commissioners.
Thank you.
And if I may, Madam Supervisor, can we get into a little bit of the discussion about the drilling down into the police budget that we have done, both yourself and myself, and the accounting director, Giovanna Neal, in terms of the possibility of asking for 3 as opposed to 2. During the budget presentation, the ask for 2 additional PSUs was a conservative ask based on tax revenue. Since then, we've drilled down a little bit more into the anticipated revenue and our expenditures in the police budget. We also have looked at the current value of the fund balance in the law enforcement fund, plus the fact that it will take probably upwards of 6 months for these new employees to be hired and trained and then put on patrol by themselves in the township at the point we'd be getting billed for them. And so after talking it over with everyone and looking at the current value of the fund balance, we felt comfortable, at least I do, and I think Giovanna Neal agrees, that we could add 3 new PSUs as opposed to 2 going forward. And we could do that without allowing the fund balance value to dip below the level that the auditors recommend we maintain. as an auditing principal. So having said that, I would just ask that the board consider authorizing me to convey that ask upwards from 2 to 3, if that's something that the board is willing to consider.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
and that level of the fund balance, is that the about 15% or?
Yes, the current fund balance anticipated at the end of this year is closer to 25%. And we've looked at the numbers together, and we think that if we went to 3 with the increasing property values that we've been experiencing, which are expected to continue at some level, plus the current value of the fund balance, that we could maintain that 15 to 18% going forward very comfortably.
And this would potentially put us at 38 PSUs?
Correct. And on the other side of the coin, we were informed that by the sheriff's office that if the township did approve 3, within the financial relationship between the sheriff's office and the county board of commissioners, that one more would qualify the sheriff's office to add another sergeant position, which at some level the township would receive benefit of those services without obviously having to burden the expense of an additional command officer or shift supervisor.
So you'd pay for 3 and get 4.
Exactly.
We would get full use of the sergeant?
I don't know that they can, at this point, guarantee full use, but it's been indicated that, at least to me, that assigning them to our station would be the most likely turn of events at the point where that occurred. And Lieutenant Morocco's here, and he may be able to address that in greater accuracy, if you wish.
Madam Chair, I just have one more question. Okay, prior to basically 2008, how many PSUs do we have? And if this, I know we'll have 38 if everything goes well, but I'm just curious, prior to 2008, how many PSUs did the township have?
We had 44.
Okay.
I can tell you we had 23 up until, I think, 1995, 96. During previous federal administrations, during the advent of the COPS grants, community policing grants, and the township, in a very short period of time, went from 23 to 44 over the course of about 3 or 4 years. And that was maintained up until 2008, at which point we cut back, and then in 2010, we cut back a second time, down to 31, actually. We've since been able to recover back to 35, and this would put us at 38, which would be 6 short of where we cut back 10 years ago.
Lieutenant Morocco, would you like to say anything?
I would just like to say that we could definitely use the additional help. We've been doing better with less, but especially with the growth we're seeing, the new rooftops going up, we've got a lot of businesses moving into the community, and with that comes people, and with that comes policing, and like Mike already has indicated, we're still would be 6 below where we were 10 years ago. And as far as the sergeant issue, I know that if it's based on how many contract policing spots there are countywide, which establishes the additional sergeant at, I believe it's 1%. Yeah, so if it's 82, currently, if you add 2, there will be 82 contracted deputies. At 83, another sergeant is authorized. So if we do that, the discussion has been to place them over here in station, in the law enforcement center, under the command here in Ypsilanti Township, which I'm responsible for, to you, of course. So, and to you. So I think it's great. And for Stan, ex-police officer, they will be, these are not desk positions. These are people who are going to be in cars, driving around, taking service requests.
I would just tell the rest of the board 3 is great, 6 would be better, 10 would be better. Because what happens is Mike knows, both Mikes know, if you don't have enough people and we're working those guys on overtime, eventually they break down and it causes issues in their personal lives and eventually affects our residents. So the quicker we can add people back, the safer it'll be for everybody, including the deputies.
Agreed. Thank you.
So just so the approval tonight is just for the one-year contract extension, and the county has to approve adding three more control unit numbers
Position control
Before
numbers
we
for
can.
new employees.
before we can actually vote on that?
Before we can actually amend our contract to increase the staffing levels, which is not one of the two articles that we'd be amending tonight. Tonight is just the term of service for 1 year
Right,
and the price for that year.
okay.
Yep.
So,
And just so you know, the sheriff's office, in my communication with their administration and their budget office, they're relying on us to tell them what we want to add so that they in turn can go to the Board of the Commissioners and ask for those new positions to be authorized.
so the consensus from the board is to ask for three, and then we'll formally vote on that contract when it comes back? Do I understand you correctly?
That is correct.
So with the consensus to add three?
And just so you know, I've thought this through to the point where I don't believe we'd need a budget amendment for 2018 based on what has already been approved by the board, because those positions, whether it's 2 or 3, won't be realized for invoicing for our purposes till probably close to mid-year. And so even if we go 3, I believe we'll be able to get through it with the approved budget level for 2018.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion in support, correct? With the intention to add 3 that will be communicated to the sheriff's office.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
It's going to be a good year. Request of Jeff Allen, Residential Services Director, to sell the miscellaneous items that are no longer being used by the township and to dispose of any items that do not sell.
Motion to support?
Support.
Motion Gerald Rose, support Ross Williams to authorize a selling of the misfit furniture that we
Right.
have, and
That was the only thing I was going to ask, what the items were.
There's a lot of parts of desks that we've done a lot of shuffling up here, some file cabinets. I don't know, Wayne, you had some other things, I think.
I've got some push boards that are
Oh, he's got-
unrepairable. I've got weed whips that are unrepairable.
yeah, and the law doesn't allow us to give it away. We have to go through this process.
Some of the stuff is, there's even some tube TVs that we, just like Supervisor Stumble said, you have to put it out, and nobody wants those things. You can't even put them on your street and get them picked up.
Right. Any questions on cleaning up? We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6 is the 2018 contracts and renewals.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Eldridge to approve the annual contracts and renewals. Are there questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is the appointments for Resolution 2017-38, Boards and Commissions, appointments and reappointments.
So moved.
Motion Eldridge.
Support.
Support Wilson. Are there any questions or?
I
Hearing
just
none?
want to add, Madam Chair, that Madasser, definitely a good addition to the Planning Commission.
Yeah, we had a resignation. Someone moved out of the community, so I was recommending to Madasser.
Madasser.
That's okay. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We also have a request to accept the resignation of Shauna McNally from the Ypsilanti Township Park Commission, effective immediately.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Ross Williams. Any questions or comments on this? Elected officials have to submit their resignation to the clerk's office, and we have to formally accept it before we appoint anyone. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Authorization and bids. Number one is request of Jeff Allen, Residential Services Director, for authorization to seek sealed bids for the replacement of Section B and C, C2 of the Civic Center roof.
Madam Chair, I would move to authorize OHM to oversee the bidding and construction of the contract for the Civic Center roof.
Motion Doe,
Support.
support Wilson. Discussion?
Is there a cost not to exceed? Or how do we do that? How do we know what it's going to cost OHM?
Yeah, we can bring back an actual contract from them when they come to the,
So it'll come back to approve it again?
yeah,
Okay.
it's usually 8%,
Okay.
but I'm not sure if that's how it's going to be on this.
I don't know. I don't know who they have for roofing. I would really ask you to consider that. Wayne, I talked to Wayne, this job here, we can get it done without OHM and save the township that money. I really have a hard time accepting OHM with that, but I'm not going to be here. So
Right, and that-
I understand from your perspective.
Yeah, you're not going to
But
be
I
there.
also know how good this guy is, and it might just get in his way. And obviously, it's already going to delay it, because now we have to get a price from OHM on something that they don't know anything about right now at this point.
Well, they have the bid specs, right? Or
No? I haven't talked to OHM about.
No, I know, but you.
I have them, yes. I can,
Well, they're
I
in the
can get
packet.
those to them,
Yeah,
yes.
they're in the packet, so you could send it to them.
Right, I'll certainly send it to them tomorrow if that's the board's will. I mean, I think if you at least came back, had this guy do it, and if he didn't like what happened, then go out and get OHM at that point. Because I think that we could really get a good go on this without utilizing them, and utilize them for the community center.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
I was just, I believe in the work session, we discussed that we've used this company before, and I just want to clarify that that's.
Yes, we've used them a number of times. At least three different roofing projects. Yes, he comes out and he does a camera of all our, checks the insulation and everything, takes samples out of the insulation. He knows what type of materials, the flashing and all that stuff, and he's very specific in his work. He did the 14B court, he did the section over the A section, which is over the, kind of where Larry is upstairs, and then he did the community center project as well, just this past year.
Madam Chair.
Jeff, did we
Yes.
use, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just,
Jeff, now you said the gentleman doesn't charge us anything.
That's correct.
Is he the supplier? Does he go out and get bids and then the bidders have to buy from him?
No, they do not buy from him. Well, I know because we had this discussion the first time he did the 14B court, and I guess I can't explain exactly how it works with him, but he was here and explained it, I know, but it's been a few years since then.
And I remember him, and I remember the great job, but I could never figure out how he worked for nothing. So, I mean, that's my question.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would expect that from you, Larry.
no, I mean, in fairness, I think anyone would ask that question. Why would
Yeah, no,
someone-
I know. I ask him too. I don't remember what he told me a number of years ago.
Because your letter doesn't have anything, that person or that company's name is not in your memo at all. So I don't know.
He did all the specs on it, so I forwarded his specs that he did. I did the specs on the community center.
Jeff, did we, on his three previous jobs, did we
Yes.
use OHM then at all on any of those?
No.
No, Jeff was here and oversaw.
I've never used OHM for any roofing job before. I mean, as far as I know, my time here, 13 years, we've not used OHM for roofing.
And your part in it was simply to oversee it, or?
Right. I made the accommodations of all the arrangements for everything. He came back to me with any of the problems that were going on in the project. He goes through all the payrolls and makes sure that, everything's
If you would have gone up on the
proper
roof, would you have known if he was doing it right, wrong, or indifferent?
I guess there's a specific type technique that I might not know, but I've learned it over the time, the first time. But even every roof's different. The court roof was ballast, so it has rocks on it. And, some of the other ones, and what we're going to do now does not have that. So I can certainly look at some seams and tell that, maybe they weren't done right. But sometimes when you go up and flash, you've got to make sure that the flash goes over the top so that the rain goes down on the outside. It's just little things like that.
And you're comfortable with the person that will oversee it when you're gone has the same base of knowledge that you would?
I think Brad, yeah, I'm confident that either Wayne, but Brad would probably he inspects all the roofs after they're done, so I'm confident in that.
Madam Chair, can I,
Yes.
just a quick comment. I'm actually I'm just going to put it on the record, I'm more comfortable with what was proposed at first with the OHM actually overseeing it. I understand that this contractor has worked for us in the past, but if I have it correct, Mr. Allen is actually going to be retiring and leaving, and I think he oversaw that contractor, at least from what I'm hearing from this discussion. So even though it may be a cost concern, I would be more comfortable with OHM. I just wanted to put that on the record.
Wayne, did you want to add something?
Yeah, if I may. My experience with these type of roofing projects, I've done this stuff too before. The medical buildings that I came from for healthcare realty all had flat roofs, and 2 out of the 3 of my buildings, we put a whole new roof on these. There's rubber membrane, and then there's a vinyl membrane that they put on there. And you can tell when a contractor's not doing a good job or it's not taking the precautions that they need putting this stuff up. One of the things that I do know based on what I'm listening here to Jeff is you're not going to have the problems like you did over to Community Center where you got to raise stuff because all of our units that are up on the roof have the flashing and they're built with a pedestal, if you will, that they have to build up the roofing material to. The other thing is a point that Mike Radzik pointed out to me. All these roofs are going to come with a warranty. So if this is a contractor that we've used before, if this manager that we've used before has given us good service up to this point, I'm comfortable with taking that project on.
Well, maybe I'd be more comfortable if I had more information from Brad, whatever his last name is. I mean, this just
Brad
from...
Konvalinka.
Yeah, I know you're saying that, Jeff,
No,
but...
I understand.
Like there's nothing in your memorandum that speaks to Brad. I feel like I'm talking about, I don't know. This is odd to me, so maybe if we tabled it in order to get more information from Brad and weigh out,
Yeah, I can have him come to the next meeting.
and have him, weigh the pros and if the memorandum was accurate with him, or I would feel more comfortable. I'm not comfortable without that, to be honest, without having something else in writing and the credentials of this gentleman, who I've seen him. I know I've seen him. So, I mean, I know we have a motion in support to approve it for OHM, but I would be willing to, if it's the will of the board, to talk to Brad. If that's the will of the board, I do realize we have a motion in support, though.
Yeah, I can either send it to send the information to OHM per the motion, or if you were going to do something different, then I'll get a hold of Brad and have him come to the next meeting.
Yeah, or
Whichever.
he can meet with Wayne and, bring it to the next work session and just discuss it, because it's an over $200,000 project, and God bless Brad, but if I felt comfortable with you, Jeff, overseeing it, and there's a motion support to approve it going to OHM, or we can table it to talk to Brad, so. Oh, did you want to speak, Ms. Kaiser? I'm sorry.
My experience with OHM, they don't even know that water runs downhill, so I don't consider using them for this large project, and this is something different. So I'm against doing OHM. And from what this other,
If you could speak into the microphone, please.
is it Mr. Dudley, is that correct? Yes. And what he has just said, I think I would go with that, because there is a warranty and all that type of thing. And the people who are the roofing people, I'm sure they have to have some kind of inspectors inspect it. So it's going to cost us, the township, more money with OHM, and I'm not really impressed with OHM.
Okay. Any other comments or? So we have a motion and support.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I guess it's point of order. Since we have a motion with support, can we just table it, or do we have to
Table the
rescind the
motion.
motion?
Tabling motion will supersede any motion.
I'd like to move to table
Motion.
this
Wilson.
agenda item, and
Second.
Motion to table by Wilson, supported by Ross Williams. Gerald Rowe?
Yes.
Eldridge?
Yes.
Ross Williams?
Yes.
Stumble votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
yes.
The item is tabled. Number 2 is request of Jeff Allen, Residential Services Director, for authorization to seek sealed bids for the replacement of sections B and D of the community center roof.
I would
We
ask
should
that you table it, please.
I was going to say we should table this, yeah.
Motion to table.
Support.
Motion Gerald Rowe, support Wilson. Gerald Rowe? Eldridge? Ross Williams?
Yes.
Stumbo votes yes. Doe?
Yes.
Wilson?
Yes.
Those 2 items are tabled. Number 3 is request of Mark Nelson, 14B Magistrate Court Administrator, for authorization to seek sealed bids for construction of entry and exit security screening systems.
Move to approve.
Motion Wilson, support Gerald Rowe. Discussion. This will come back to the board, and this is being overseen by an architect. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4 is request of Wayne Dudley, Public Service Superintendent, to accept the proposal from Corrigan Oil for a fuel management system in the amount of $30,030 to be budgeted in line item 595-595-000-971-000 via a budget amendment in January of 2018.
Madam Chair, if I can address a couple things that the board needs to be aware of. There, in about the center of the document, it talks about what the important things that are not included in it, and one of them that I think the board might have to take action on is the sale of the existing tanks at Ford Lake. Those are smaller tanks, or 1,000-gallon tanks. Corrigan Oil is willing to purchase them from us for $1,000 apiece, which would lessen the overall cost. But by the same token, depending on the excavation of the existing stuff here, there might be contaminated soil or something like that. It could offset that. It could pay for the replacement of the pavement when they take out the fuel station here at the existing fuel station. So I would still request the $30,030 with the possible offset of this if we sell them the tanks. Now, I did talk with Tim Smith from the golf course. It would not be part of this project, but we could have one of those tanks taken over to him because he's got a small 150-gallon diesel tank, and he could use our diesel tank over there as a separate project and get it plumbed into his system over there. But right now, that's not part of the project. So either selling both of them, or selling one of them to Corrigan and keeping the other for the golf course would be an option either way, so.
But you're coming back in January of 2018 for the budget amendment, so they're not going to be doing the removal of any tanks?
Well, as soon as this is approved, they'll start the process. But the budget would be approved, and the budget approval would be in January.
So
Budget amendment, yes, in January.
So can we bring back your request that you just asked for to be added to this at that meeting? Or,
Sure.
I mean, would that
If that's
be
your
okay?
preference.
Yeah.
Table this.
Huh?
You gonna vote on this then?
Well, we have a motion and support to approve the Corrigan. He just brought up the stuff, all this other stuff. Do you want to, it's up to the board if they want to authorize
disposal of them?
Moving to the golf course or removal and, yeah, okay. So we have a motion and support to approve the $30,030 with Corrigan.
Yeah, we weren't on motion yet.
Oh, we didn't have one?
No.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion Eldridge, supported Ross Williams.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
And just to, what we talked about in the work session, if it could just make sure her attorney's approval for everything, since Doug wasn't able to read would that be a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Yes.
Subject to the approval of the attorney on the contract is what you're asking, okay?
Friendly amendment? Eldridge and Ross Williams?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next item under other business was a request of Angela Burgess, Recreation Service Manager, to waive the financial policy and award the low quote for painting of the interior of the community center to Five Star Painting in the amount of $9,432.69, which is budgeted in line item 230-751-000-818-002.
So moved.
Support.
Motion Eldridge, supported by Doe, and this would be completed over the shutdown, correct, Angela?
That's correct, yes.
And the agreement will be approved by the attorney as well,
Yes.
the one-page agreement. Are there any questions or comments on this? We have a motion support. All in favor?
Aye.
The motion's approved. There's no other business, and motion to adjourn.
So moved.
If I could just say, I wanted to thank the board I've been here almost 13 years, a couple weeks shy of that, for all the support over the years, and I think I've had about 13 or 14 different board members, and I want to say this is the most prepared board that I've had in all my time that I've been here. You guys are really good on your questions and everything, and it's, through Planning Commission and ZBA, it's been over 25 years, so I've lived in my home for 20 years on the lake, and now I'm going to a dry spot, and I'm not going to have a job and everything else. So it's a big change for me. I can barely walk sometimes, and I've had some other personal tragedies. So thank you all.
You get to see your grandbabies, Jeff.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, everyone.
These are going to be there on the antenna. I'll jump up to the top of the
How are you doing?
What's your booster?
Yeah.
See ya.
Good seeing you. Yeah.
radio.